These fronts go to northern Florida, but not through northern Florida. We had Chantal about a month ago. We had Invest 93. We had last week's system, and here we go again starting this weekend.
What's the Disney song that goes, "Tale as old as time"? It's like,
seriously.
That's what we've got here with these stalled front
boundaries. Well, it's Beauty and the Beast,
It is,
right?
that's it, yes.
But there's not a whole lot of beauty to this setup.
Unless you're up in Boston,
well,
right?
Yes, that's true. Yeah, beauty and then
and the beast.
and then a potential beast. So, with these washed out fronts, you tend to get the built-in spin, and you got the Gulf Stream sitting under here. A little bit of upper level pattern cooperation can potentially lead to development. Now remember, Chantal went this way, 93L last week's system went that way, but we know the southeast will be at risk. In early August, we can still get close to home development, even though we watch more and more in the main development region.
It seems like no matter what time of year, it's just how many of those dots are close to home.
Right.
We never really shut off close to home.
That is very true. And I think we've even seen peak of season formations off of fronts, even though July, it is particularly common, and into early August it can happen. Now, the waters are plenty warm, and they're way above average throughout the entire basin. So when we're talking about the first week of August, something forming here, could there be any role played by tropical waves crossing? So we've got the waves crossing the main development regions. There's just a lot of sinking in the Atlantic side while the Central and East Pacific lights up. But Alex, as usual, we got to watch what's going on up here, because this is where that front is going to come from. So I want to watch the low-level spin from a tropical wave down here and from that front. So as we get later into this week, here comes the front. Here comes the relief through the northeast. But as that front comes offshore, look at this guy. So there is the northern side of a tropical wave. Even if this doesn't develop, could it contribute to more spin and complicated setup in this region off the southeast coast this weekend?
Well, that was going to be my question, because, we watch an outflow boundary here, give a little extra oomph to a storm. Would a tropical wave interacting with that boundary perhaps give that more oomph?
Possibly, and could dictate where the spin ends up becoming more focused. But at least in the Euro's eye at the moment, once this weekend's front comes offshore, where does that spin focus? And it's a very broad, messy kind of setup. So anywhere along here, and then wherever that tropical wave focuses its spin, for the fourth time in a month, a system to watch off the southeast coast.
Is that going to be the theme of 2025?
Yeah, the heat indices. Heat indices, as it were, staying well over 100 degrees in much of the central and eastern part of the country. But help is on the way. There is actually going to be a front and a Canadian high behind it that eat into that heat.
Yeah, I think people were like, wait, did it say heat relief on the way?
Yes.
I'll believe it when I see it, but you're going to believe it in parts of the country. Man, it's going to be nice.
And, of course, you know what happens when a front comes near the southeast coast, as it will.
It doesn't make it through Florida.
No, and for the fourth time in a month, we're going to have the potential for something to develop off the southeast coast, I think.
You're going to be breaking it down. It feels like the same story, just a different day. You are watching Weather Unfiltered on a Monday. I'm Alex Wilson.
And I'm Dr. Rick Knabb. We've had a lot of radar shots, but a lot of camera shots of the storm. Damaging winds that might not be directly associated with a tornado, but will be these big complexes of storms that will affect a lot of people, all the way to places like Minneapolis.
Yeah, we've got some huge winds possible. In fact, the Storm Prediction Center is concerned about the potential for Category 1 hurricane force winds. So you're watching Weather Down for you. I'm Alex Wilson.
And I'm Dr. Rick Knabb, and we've got the beginnings of that overnight severe threat still ongoing. The supercells are going to kind of get together and make one big complex of storms, or maybe 2 or 3 complexes of storms.
And these things this time of year. So we've had it happen. Yet again, we're watching that similar setup. So we've got the front that's going to make things so nice in places like New York and in Boston. Gets down to the south, and then it puts on the brakes.
Yeah, now, we are not reusing last week's graphics, because we had Chantal, then we had 93L, then we had that system last week that the Hurricane Center was watching. They might very well have to do it again, because the front will stall, and you'll have, again, broad area of low pressure. Will it focus or won't it? But there will be areas of spin along that front, and whenever you have something spinning over the Gulf Stream, you can get a Chantal, you can get an Invest, you can get a low that is a big rainmaker.
Right. So, strength undetermined, but if it does become something, at the very least, Chantal wasn't an overwhelmingly strong storm, but it did bring the flooding. So problems could arise. You look at the early August, again, this weekend's early August, we still watch close to home. Obviously, we look more towards the west.
Yeah, and interestingly, and maybe not in a good way, could we have shades of both going on next week that add to the spin off the southeast coast? Now, the waters are plenty warm throughout the basin, above average. So at some point, this energy is going to get used. It's just a matter of whether or not the main development region in the Atlantic ever stops the sinking motion. That favorability in the Pacific is moving this way as we head into early August, as we watch another Canadian trough move across the northern tier. So let's watch both. A tropical wave moving this way in the direction of the southeast coast, and then that front coming off the east coast later this week. So there's the relief. There's the front coming through the northeast, and then again, here is spin sitting off the southeast coast. But look at this guy. Yeah. This is a tropical wave that crosses the whole Atlantic. Could they be coming together over the weekend into next week?
And you said that could potentially just induce a little extra spin, maybe give it a little extra nudge or oomph.
Yeah, so there will be multiple areas of spin off the southeast coast. If these do get together next week, that could change where spin focuses, and there could be some upper level high pressure over that warm water. So taking a close look at the Euro, the thing about the Euro is it brings that front off the southeast coast, and then all it does into Sunday is just string out all this spin. Things could form anywhere in there.
Great. So it just gives us more options, it feels like.
GFS is a little more decisive. It brings some spin in Sunday right up the coast a la Chantal. So lots of possibilities in Florida.
I feel like you were like, relief is on the way. Not for everybody, though. Yeah. We've got it all for you tonight on Weather Unfiltered. I'm Alex Wilson.
I'm Dr. Rick Knabb. I mean, I've mentioned tonight already that my lawn has a serious case of brown crunch, right? Because that hot, humid air just sucks up all the moisture. But the ridge has been squashing all of the shower activity. So I'm looking forward to cutting a little off the heat and adding a little rain for a change.
Honestly, I think a lot of people would say, you know what, if anything, I'll just take some rain if it cools things off.
In fact, I know some very energetic college-age guys in my neighborhood that refused the chance to go to a roller coaster park because...
Too hot?
Too hot. It's getting to the best of us.
The youth. When the youth,
when the youth say no thank you, you know it's too hot.
Popular spot to be. You know, here, southeastern states, they're going to start school some later this week, some next week. Of course, across the north, you still have about a month left of shore time. Heat index tomorrow, getting up to around 102 in New York, 104 in D.C., 100 in Boston. As we've told you, the changes are coming just later in the week, so we still have some heat to go through. Extreme heat warnings along the Mississippi River, up towards Omaha, sections of Iowa, southern parts of Ohio, western West Virginia. So around Huntington, West Virginia, Ashland, Kentucky, Ironton, Ohio, you've got the extreme heat warnings. Also down through sections of the state of Georgia. Outside of that, we've got a lot of heat advisories. Potential record high temperatures, especially into the Northeast, really New England states and across Florida. These possible between now and Wednesday. So early part of the week through midweek, going to bring us our most extreme temperatures. It's not just the temp, but really what we're going to be paying attention to is the heat index. So that's that combination of the temperature in combo with the dew point. And so how it feels because you're just not able to cool yourself via sweating. Heat index values getting up to 107 in St. Louis, 105 Nashville, 104 D.C. How about 110 in Jackson and New Orleans? College Station at 100, 107 in Charleston, 112 there in Jacksonville. So Duval County, at least on this map, taking the top spot. Kansas City, you're getting up into those like upper 100s, 107 by mid to late afternoon tomorrow. That's well into the dangerous territory. So yet again, the heat can get to those, even those of you who are not necessarily susceptible or bothered by the heat. Wednesday, heat index values still well into the triple digits. We'll talk a little bit more about how unusual it is. Now, keep in mind, you know, part of the deal with Florida is it's so humid. Well, that humidity oftentimes will keep you from getting super, super hot. So it's not like the desert that warms up rapidly, you know, cools off more significantly. You don't see as much of a temperature change or variance when you've got all that moisture. But 100 degrees yesterday did break the all-time temperature record. The previous record was 99. That was set back in June 26th of 2020. Records began being kept April 1st of 1890. So this is a long-term record. And something else that keeps Tampa from hitting those triple-digit temps is, the sea breeze that we get during the afternoon. So the air comes off the Gulf and cools us down. That relief almost that you get when you've got those thunderstorms in the afternoon, that sea breeze front moves in. Well, this air, the source of this was over land across northern Florida. So again, warmer over land than it is over water. When you heat and cool the land, you're going to see more of a variance as opposed to the water, where you're going to keep temperatures a little bit more steady. Water temperature is 88 at latest check there near Tampa. Out over the Gulf, 87. So very, very warm. Tampa forecast highs. Now your average is 91. We've got highs into the mid-90s tomorrow. Then we get back closer to average through the remainder of the week. So keeping it around 92, 93 from Wednesday all the way into Saturday. So we're not going to see the extremes that we had out there over the weekend. But 100 degrees, you've hit it only one time in Tampa's history. Now remember, the previous record was 99. That's only occurred twice in Tampa City history. Days with 97-degree higher temperatures, we've had quite a few of them at 97, 54, and 98, 20. So you can see the hotter you get, even though we're only talking about 1 degree, it's much rarer air, truly. 97, you've had quite a few days at that, but 100, only one day in Tampa history. So Dr. Knabb, if you were there in Tampa yesterday, you were there for a historic day.
And Alex,
it just continues to be lofted by the storm. So some really exceptional views today.
Yeah, and that last video really shows you the speed of the dust being flown around. So, I mean, it really does take several different views like that to really appreciate the structure and the power of a tornado. Farther away, it just kind of looks beautiful.
Right.
The closer you get, I think the uglier it gets.
Yeah, you see what's going on. You hear the wind, even farther away from the storm. This is Weather Unfiltered.
I'm still that upward view.
Do we still do that? We needed to bring back the 1Ds. That would be still a story, but there's some light at the end of the tunnel, or cool down at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of us who are tired of the heat and the storms are going to get a break this weekend after these heat index values go up to near 110 again. But that front, when it comes to the southeast, yes, I'm looking forward to the break in the heat. But wouldn't it be nice to have a cooler, sunny day? No. The only way you cool down in the southeast this time of year is to make it rain.
It's the deal you have to make this time of year, right? You are watching Weather Unfiltered. I'm Alex Wilson.
Hey, I'm Dr. Rick Knabb. We also have to watch for, could there eventually this weekend and early next week be something trying to form tropically off the southeast coast? Be the fourth time in a month
again.
Going through
You're like, again? And we're like, yes, again.
This has been a persistent pattern in July.
It's been really what we've watched tropically. We haven't been, tracking many waves. We haven't been tracking any systems away from home. It's been these frontal boundaries. We're going to do it again this week.
Oh, but could that change as well?
It's there across the mid-Atlantic and Northeast. Tomorrow, another very warm day. Heat index or feels like temperatures into the triple digits in Boston, New York, and D.C. Mid-90s into western Pennsylvania, western New York, Buffalo, low 90s there. We've got extreme heat warnings along the Mississippi River, the tri-state area between Ohio, West Virginia, and Kentucky, up towards Omaha and northwestern parts of Missouri. And we've also got those extreme heat warnings into parts of Georgia, off to the south and east of Atlanta. Now tomorrow, we've got heat index values pushing or exceeding 110. Jackson, New Orleans, 110. Tampa, 110. 112 in Jacksonville. Duval County could be the winner when it comes to some of those most extreme of heat index values. But even St. Louis getting close. 107, your max heat index. In Kansas City, 106, 107 through that mid to late part of the afternoon. That's dangerous territory. So again, you got to really think about adjusting things. Pets need to be inside. I know you're like, well, they're outside dogs. Even on a day like today, cats, dogs need to be in, or a day like tomorrow. Any kind of athletic endeavors, practices, you want to go for a jog after work, I'd just set the alarm early, get up and do it earlier in the day, because even in the morning, very, very warm. By Wednesday, heat index values a little farther to the south, still really high.